Welcome everybody to the Lone Star Showdown podcast. As always, I'm your co-host Chance, and with me, is always, Kyle Umlang,
Y'all can't see this, but Chance is just ripping the guitar right now.
ripping it. No, they can see it. This is going straight on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So, Kyle, we got the straight guitar music because it is a week where we will see the Lone Star Shootout, is what I call it. I don't care what anybody else wants to call it. It's called a Shootout.
Yes. Shootout, shootout, shootout. No rivalry, no showdown, no fourth one. It's shootout.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about last week first. So, um, Lex has got a win, first Power Five win of the season. How you feeling?
Oh man, that's cold. It was good. Solidly won. Didn't let them come back and get it close. So, our offense played great. Hudson Card put out a great game for being injured and for being Hudson Card. So I could not have asked for a better performance. He did great. Yeah, it was nice to win. How was your Saturday?
Rough. um, it wasn't as rough for me as it was for most because
Yeah.
I actually called this loss. If y'all watched or listened to episode 1, I did say that A&M would lose to Mississippi State. The week of the game, I became extra hopeful. Nobody got to listen to that podcast, but yeah, I did call for a win at the end of that podcast. But at the beginning of the season, I said this is probably one of A&M's 2 losses of the year. So just like I called at the beginning of the season, it happened. So
Yeah.
and for the exact same reasons,
Where
just a bunch of
where was
old
Wegman?
guys.
I saw your tweet in the third quarter, like, let's put in Wegman, but never came.
I saw him on the sideline.
Yeah.
He
So
was sitting there just holding onto his pads,
what
just hanging
what
out.
what do they have him on the sideline for? Like, what is he? Is he just Jimbo just going to sit him regardless of what happens? Down by
Nah,
4 scores? Yeah, let's not put him
I'll
in.
talk about Wegman here later, but let's cut into the slate that happened this weekend first.
Yeah.
I'll get to Wegman, I promise.
Okay.
So Texas plays West Virginia. I thought Texas looked really good, spreading the ball out, a little bit of play action out of the pistol, hitting some wide open wide receivers. Xavier Worthy got a passing touchdown.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Was that his second receiving touchdown of the year?
Yes, I think it's only a second.
But overall, a good game. I mean, Texas literally took the lead and
held on to it. Yeah,
held on to it.
Yeah, which was refreshing, to say the least. Since the week before, we literally were up 35-17 and somehow lost it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a good thing to see Sark finally actually doing what he's supposed to and holding on to a lead. West Virginia, they look terrible.
Yeah, they're bottom of the Big 12 this year for sure.
Yeah, so I think Mike Loxley is most likely on his way out. I don't think we'll see much of him in West Virginia for very long. I mean, they're obviously not going to buy him out at the beginning of the season. Apparently, West Virginia has money issues, so they'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Yeah, not everybody can be like us, Kyle. We have all the spoil money, and we just spend it frivolously as we want.
Yep.
So, yeah, do you have any points that you want to touch on through that Texas game?
Not just like Card. It was the biggest eye opener. Just like you said, completing long passes, finding wide open receivers. That's always kind of been like an issue, or holding on to the ball too late. I don't remember any instance where I was just like yelling at him for doing something like that. It was just like, oh, good job. I thought I did well. Everyone on Twitter was agreeing. They said mostly like how great of a game, and thanks for that. So that's my biggest applause for the game was Hudson Card. But yeah, Xavier did great. A touchdown, caught, touchdown passed. I think maybe Bijan scored one. I don't know if he did multiple, but yeah, it was just a good solid victory. What exactly we needed for going into the OU weekend? Because if it was gonna be like the Tech game where like they came back and somehow made it interesting, or maybe even beat us in overtime or something, I would not. I would just the rest of the year just be shot in my eyes. Like so, it was good to not be done for the season yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think even if you lost, you're done for the season. At the beginning of the year, I think I said Texas would go somewhere between 7-5 and 8-4.
Yeah.
You're 2 losses in. You lost to Bama and you dropped 1-2 Tech.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I thought you were going to lose to Oklahoma because I thought we'll get to this game. I thought Oklahoma was going to be much better than they are. Is
Man.
Oklahoma this bad or is TCU just that good? Because I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I think it's a little mix of both, but I would mostly put it on OU being bad because TCU has a brand new coach. They should not be blowing out 55 to whatever 30 games yet, especially against OU.
You don't score 55 on the defensive play caller that turned into the head coach and say that it's not bad.
Right. Yeah. I really think they exposed this new defense they have that all the people on Twitter were bragging about all offseason. I'm glad to see that it's not all it's cracked up to be. So that I think their defense is going to struggle against our offense for sure because especially with I think Sark's just gonna. I'm not gonna say feast because last time I said feast on Twitter, I made a bad take and got just destroyed by Sooners. So I won't say we'll feast on them, but we're gonna feast on them.
Well, if you look at it, passing yards, Texas is only putting up about 30 yards less than TCU is per game, and rushing yards, you're a bit behind them in rushing yards because they're putting up 251 rushing yards per game. That is insane. Texas at 154 yards.
I'll blame Bama on that declining average.
Well, I mean, 251 yards per game is insane.
It is pretty ridiculous,
especially for a team that just lost Zach Evans in the offseason.
Right.
I didn't expect TCU's running game to just like stay at such a high level.
Yeah.
They looked good. That's always a questionable win or loss for Texas because TCU's just, Gary Patterson.
They're purple. We don't like purple teams.
No purple teams. Gary Patterson just had like the secret recipe to beat UT.
Yep.
But now he's at UT, and apparently he has the secret recipe to run a defense. And honestly, I think him and Chris Del Conte have a little
obviously, yeah. There's some sort of agreement.
But it wouldn't shock me if Gary Patterson got an offer here after the season.
For sure.
But TCU, man, that'll be a hell of a game to watch for Texas and TCU. That'll be an offensive juggernaut type game.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, plenty of Aggies are looking at TCU's offensive coordinator right now, and they're like, oh, hello.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you on this, who would be like your top like 2 picks for OC? If Jimbo was like, tomorrow, I'm hiring an OC for this week.
Oh, if I could have anyone, I would definitely go after. I don't know if he needs an OC. Definitely something that I'll get into. I don't know if he needs an OC. Maybe he needs a passing game coordinator. If he needs another OC, that's fine. Get what you need. But if I had to pick, of a passing game coordinator and offensive coordinator, definitely Joe Brady's number one on my list. Let's go get Joe Brady. Look what he did with Joe Burrow from 2018 to 2019. A&M beat that team in 7 overtimes, and then the next year literally couldn't
just wipe the floor with everyone.
Yeah, it was just you couldn't even watch the game because it was just that bad. And then Joe Burrow goes and wins. Put Connor Wegman with that guy. Let's go to work.
Yeah.
And the offensive roster is just as talented at A&M, according to like 24/7 Sports. as it was at um, LSU. I mean, if you don't look at the draft, obviously, if you look at the draft, you're like, well, does A&M have 3 first-round wide receivers and uh, a Heisman quarterback? Well, I don't know, but I'm just looking at
Yeah.
talent composite according to the
Right.
247
Right. Right.
scores. A&M is one of the most talented teams in the nation, and they do not look like it. Um, yeah, that Mississippi State. Yeah, so Joe Brady would be number one, and then it would be honestly like a tie between the Baylor offensive coordinator and TCU's offensive coordinator. Garrett Riley, I think, is at TCU, and I'm blanking on Baylor's. Um, and Garrett Riley's Lincoln Riley's little brother.
Yeah.
So, hey, I mean, Lincoln's offenses have always looked pretty good.
Right.
If he could have played defense, maybe OU would actually won something besides the Big 12 title. I'm just saying. Speed defense, right?
Man, that I still remember that the LSU game in the playoff. That was one of the most fun games I've ever seen. There was just every time I turned around, score, and OU just looked. Whew,
No, for me,
awesome.
it was just like a replay of what happened 2 weeks prior. And it was just like yep, this is
Yeah.
yep, this is what happened to us. Yeah, it looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and A&M had a great defensive coordinator at the time. Mike Elko was much better than I can't even remember who was even the defensive coordinator of Oklahoma. But yeah, A&M's got to do something, man. So let's go over A&M versus Mississippi State,
Sure.
I guess, since we're already on it. 42-24. I think the score tells a lot of lies because you throw a backup quarterback in there and he throws a pick six, and then there's an offsides on a block kick that gets taken back for a touchdown. The refs didn't catch. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. Everybody wants to blame Jimbo, the play caller, and I sit there and look at it, and I'm like, and they hate the defense. Well, the defense does. Everybody hates the 3-man front. I hate the 3-man front. I'm with y'all. I hate the 3-man front. But guess what? We don't have enough defensive tackles to run a 4-man front. McKinley Jackson's hurt. Walter Nolan just got hurt. I think Isaiah Rakes is okay. Shamar Turner's hurt. You just don't have enough bodies to fill the interior defensive line to run a 4-man front. And when you put edge defenders on the interior, they're just going to get bullied. It's just we don't have very many DeMarvin Leals laying around that can move from the edge to the center.
Right.
It just doesn't work like that. Some of these guys just aren't built for the center, to go through offensive guards in the center. It just doesn't work like that. So, the defense did what it always does. It runs this bend but don't break defense. They shut down Mississippi State for 3 straight drives, made them punt each time. And then the offensive for A&M literally drives down the field. A-Chain fumbles the ball on, I guess, is the 6-yard line. And you're just like, well, that's your number one running back. Like, beyond Robinson, you're not. It happens.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. You're not going to bench the kid for it. You can't really get mad because all the good stuff that he does. It's just like, it was one time. I get it. But then you drive down the field again, and you're in the red zone again. And remember, I told you last week, A&M was
red zone conversion. Yeah.
100% in the red zone before that game. And then in 2 straight trips. So A&M drives down the field again. It's 14-0, and we're in the red zone, and you could at least take 3 points. But Max Johnson drops back, gets all this pressure because the offensive line is still not figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's because, and we had this trouble with Josh Henson when he first came to A&M in 2019. We lost our offensive line coach to the Bengals. Josh Henson comes in. It took them a year to get ready to get with him, in 2020, where he actually had that offensive line like really gelling.
Yeah.
And then it took a couple games last year for them to gel. But they're just not playing great. And Max Johnson gets bull rushed, strip sack, no points. You go into the half down 14-0, then you get the ball back. And at the beginning of the half, you get the ball back, and then you drive down the field, and you hit Evan Stewart in the end zone. It is the pass, he jumps in the air. The pass is kind of behind him. He throws one hand up in the air to try to one hand it, and he drops it in the end zone, and you have to settle for a field goal.
God.
And then you have the block kick, and then you've had some like miscues on defense where you saw like some guys.
Yeah.
Antonio Johnson should have had a pick six. Edgerrin Cooper could have had a pick six. It's just, I mean, Jimbo wasn't wrong.
Right.
All the plays were there. They're just not executing. But like he said, that's his fault. He's the head coach. If they're not executing, it's your fault.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessarily the playbook. I do want to see more downfield passing. I'd love to see like, you know, an Xavier Worthy,
Yes,
Quinn
a
Ewers,
bomb,
Xavier Worthy type play where you're just like, balls up there, go get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't think A&M had a pass outside the 15-yard line against Mississippi State. That's bad.
Yeah.
Max wasn't bad though. I think he had a completion percentage of like 75% or something against Mississippi State.
So when he went out, were you like, we're like, oh crap, here we go. This is just what we need, or you're like, oh, maybe he can win this for us whenever Haynes King came in.
No. At that point, it was already gone.
Right.
I was just like, there's.
How long is Max Johnson out?
We don't know.
Oh.
Jimbo says day to day, but if you look at the injury, it's almost identical to what happened to Dak Prescott. If y'all are Cowboys fans out there, Dak, ball's released, hands coming down, thumb hits the top of the helmet, and he was in a brace after contact on the sideline, and he tried to make a pass like after it happened, and it went like 2 yards. It looked like when Justin Herbert got hurt the other night, and he was, he tried to make a pass and it wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So we don't know, but most likely Haynes King will be your starter for Alabama. But I have a theory behind that, and I said it on a little group message I had. Haynes King starts this game because he's most prepared. Like he came in as the starter this season. He's most prepared. Let him go play Bama and let's see what he does. Probably absolutely nothing, but let's see what he probably throws 2 interceptions again. Every game that kid's been in, he throws 2 picks. He's played in 4 games and has 8 interceptions. I really just don't get it. He plays Bama. I mean, we'll talk about Bama, and then I think A&M hits a bye week. So while you're training Haynes King to get ready for Bama, why not let Connor Wegman split snaps with the first team for Bama week? Don't put Connor Wegman in the game.
Right.
Let Bama do their thing. It's going to be a tough game to play. If Connor Wegman steps out, I will be completely shocked. But go into the bye week and then be like, Connor,
take the ones.
Max is going to be out. You're taking the ones in the bye week. And we got all bye week to work up. And then all South Carolina week, and then we're gonna put you in South Carolina, and that's when you get
that. That'd be sweet. Yeah,
get you a dub. Get feeling some type of way.
And South Carolina would be a great game for that to happen.
It's a great game for it to happen. A&M is 8-0 versus South Carolina.
Yeah, either I was gonna say 8 or 9.
Yeah, something like that. We haven't lost to them. We take the Bonham Trophy home every time. The great trophy of. The great rivalry of Texas A&M and South Carolina. So
I didn't know that was a thing until I made a joke about Jimbo Fisher's
lack of trophies
or trophy case, and it could have been you. You're like, excuse me.
The bottom trophy.
Yeah, where's the bottom trophy? I was like, I looked. I was like, oh, damn it, that's a thing.
Yeah, the bottom trophy, the lone, or not the bottom trophy, the Southwest.
What's the Arkansas one? The Southwest
Conference or Southwest Classic.
Yeah.
SWC.
Yeah,
and then the Orange Bowl, and then the Texas Bowl. And then the Gator Bowl. Got some bowl trophies.
I guess you're right.
And some rivalry games.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jimbo wasn't wrong. It was a failure of execution, but it's all on him. It's all on Jimbo. You got to get better. You're not. I mean, for my expectations, A&M is 1 game behind of where they're supposed to be right now. I had A&M at 4-1 right now, according to my preseason prediction.
Yeah,
A&M would lose. I said 2 to 3 games. I said Mississippi State and Alabama because I never count Alabama as a win.
Right.
And then I thought that there would be a mythical third one in there somewhere, and I didn't think it would be
Yeah, I would
Appalachian
have put money
State.
on like Miami or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have said Miami, Arkansas,
yeah.
but I really thought they were going to go 10-2. So they are actually one game behind what I had them at. I thought their floor was 9-3. Um, you could have all three losses here after this weekend. So
Right.
got to win out, I guess. Um, yeah, so that's where we're at with A&M. Jimbo's not on the hot seat.
Right.
Won't be.
Yeah. I think we did. I think we discussed this either last episode or the one before. Like he's good for at least 5 years.
Yeah, something like
I would
that.
say That's
It
when they would
depends
actually
on
do it because
it
I think
depends
that's
on
when
how
it
much these
drops below 50 finally.
Yeah, and it depends on how much these boosters want to spend, and then how much mediocre they want to put up with. Because I don't know. This is why I hate the Sumlin comparison so much.
Yeah.
Because like, I get the record's the same. Fine, I get it. But Sumlin literally inherited the team that he did the best with.
Right.
Sumlin went 11-2, then went 9-4, then went 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, and then 7-6.
Right.
There was literally a
Yeah.
linear regression.
Yeah.
And the best.
Yeah, you're saying like as that team he inherited started dwindling down, so did his wins.
Yeah.
Like it's
Exactly. Yeah, the team he literally inherited. He inherits a NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver. He inherits the Heisman Trophy winner. He inherits an offensive line with 4 NFL future offensive linemen. He literally inherits this, magnificent team. And then it just, and like the sad part is he had Myles Garrett. He had Kyler Murray at one point.
Yeah.
I think that's the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It was like when you have Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen on your team and you can't get, you
Right.
can't, just pick one and then settle on it.
Right.
And like, he's like drawing in him. That bugged me. But with Jimbo, you saw, 9-4. Then he dropped down to 8-5 because he had, he sent 7 guys to the NFL draft, and then multiple free agents, and it's like, of course you're gonna dip down a little bit, and then you see the 9-1 season, which I think even if that season's played in a non-COVID season, that season's still great.
Yeah,
you have a senior quarterback.
We also talked about that how it honestly would be like 11-1 season. Yeah,
season regardless.
Right.
And then you go back, you dip back down again because you lose all that talent again, and then we expected, this is where I expected it to, take that like nice little stock buy sell uptick. And this year it just looks like a flat line, and maybe even worse, it could go down even further. But like, that's what the boosters will expect. The boosters will expect another rise eventually,
right?
And hopefully we don't have a Kevin Sumlin situation. Everybody's always going to be like, oh, well, you don't want to lose that class in the transfer portal. Well, everybody loses people in the transfer portal just as long as it's not a mass exodus. People are going to leave. You just
it happens literally every season to every team.
Yeah. So on to the next week though, since we all know A&M lost, Texas won. Both teams are sitting at 3-2. Both have high hopes going forward and some pretty good opponents to play. Texas is playing Oklahoma.
I'm pumped. Yes.
Red River Shootout. It is the first time in what?
Since 98.
20 years?
Yeah.
98, damn. 25 years then, right?
Yeah, 24, yeah.
Yeah. Since they've both been unranked
and only the 15th time ever in history to both be unranked.
I wonder how many times that they're the only matchup in the Big 12 that there's not a ranked opponent.
I could look that up, but I won't right now because it might take a while.
Yeah, that would take a while. But that is interesting. The only matchup in the Big 12 this week that doesn't feature a ranked opponent.
I saw a great meme where it was like College Game Day is going to a Big 12 game on October 8th, and they're like, oh, it's Texas and OU, right? Texas and OU, right?
The Padme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one.
I love that meme.
It's weird times right now that this game is not even going to be the headliner for the weekend.
But it holds so much importance for both teams.
I know we're both. Yeah, it's
Like,
gonna make or break both teams at the same time.
yeah, outside of the rivalry, you hold like a ton of pressure on both teams. Like Sark,
Yeah,
like
if he loses this, it's bad news for
it,
him.
you still got a rough road ahead of you if you lose
Right?
this.
Yeah.
You still got TCU. You got Kansas, who's actually looking great this
Yeah.
year. You got Kansas State, who looks great, another purple team.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you have
you
Venables.
got
He no one wants their first season to be
yeah, and
0-3 starting conference
oh
play.
no,
You know.
OU fans be down
I,
bad.
I, I,
Lose Lincoln Riley and then pick up Venables, who you hyped up all off season just to like be the gutter of the Big 12.
yeah. I think it was Blinken Riley who was like, OU losing their third consecutive whatever conference game to an unranked opponent. If that happened, this will only be like the third time in history for OU. So yeah, it would not be a good thing for Venables. Would not be a good thing for Sark. So
And Lincoln's out there in California right now,
it's
putting
still
together a playoff contention team.
yep, still daylight. He's just chilling. Perfect
With your boy
weather.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
And
perfect
with all your
weather. Yeah.
players, man. Sad part is Dylan Gabriel did get a dirty hit.
I saw that
in that game.
Yeah.
So he will be out for the game. I would love to see
Well,
Nick Evers, the freshman.
Did they officially say that? Because
Yeah, he's out.
Okay, cool.
From what I read, he was out.
Yeah.
And they were saying that the other kid's gonna play.
Okay.
I don't remember his name, the backup, but I'm interested in Nick Evers, the freshman. They asked about today in his press conference.
Is he like third string, or who is he?
Yeah, I guess he's a third. He's a freshman. I guess he's a third string, but he apparently Venables has this thing on Thursdays where they call it like I can't remember what phrase he used, but apparently they have a day where like all the freshmen like practice on Thursdays.
Oh yeah,
and it's like a future day where they get ready. Future freaks, I think that's what he called it. Future freaks. Practice session on Thursday. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
To like actually feature your freshmen. But anyway, so Sark's offense versus a inept defense as of last week.
Yes.
And against Kansas State. So what are we thinking? Sark going to run this thing up 55 points with Quinn Ewers?
I think he'll run up the score. It will not be with Quinn Ewers. I hope. I still don't think he's well enough to be starting against OU. I don't want to put him out too early and get him hurt. Hopefully, Card. I think he can just with what he showed against West Virginia with that play calling. I think that there is a good chance that we can run up the score even with Card. So I would prefer that and keep Ewers as healthy as possible, long as possible, going into like bye week. So.
Well, yeah. Oklahoma's allowing a lot of rush yards per game, so I think Deion Robinson will have a day.
He should.
I think Oklahoma, last time I checked, was 115th in the nation.
I knew it was over 100. That sounds right, yeah.
I want to say it was 115 or 119. I think 15 though.
Yeah.
That's a bad stat for
it's a matchup made in heaven. That's why I'm expecting a blowout. I want a blowout. I swear to God, if we make it like it has been the last 8 or 9 years, a one possession game coming down to the fourth quarter, I don't want that in any way.
Well, I think we all know that whenever it comes to rivalries, you could throw
throw it out,
sheet out the window.
Yeah,
because it gets goofy.
Yeah.
Last year Texas' team was not that great, and y'all almost won that game.
Right. 2015 is the perfect. I posted this on Twitter today. Is the perfect reason why I don't trust this rivalry with stats or anything, because 2015 Oklahoma wins the Big 12, goes 11-1, goes to the college football playoff. That one loss was to 5-7 Charlie Strong, Texas.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
Charlie getting carried off the field with the gold hat.
Yeah.
And then
that should not happen in a normal game. So that's why this rivalry, it doesn't even matter.
That wasn't the season that y'all beat them in the Big 12. That was 2018, wasn't it? Where y'all rode off. Sam Ehlinger rode off with the golden hat, and then the Big 12 title game, Kyler Murray gets his revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam Ellinger gets stuck in the backfield by a corner.
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't see Oklahoma winning this game. Texas fans, I'm not jinxing you.
Right. I've already jinxed this enough, and yeah, if my Twitter actually controlled game scenarios, I'd be making a lot of money. So
yeah,
trust me.
I think Texas runs pretty far away with this one.
They better, or they will be held to pay.
Statistically and footage speaking, it looks that way.
Right.
Let's talk about game day.
Going to Kansas.
I think we can't not touch on this because
it's first time in history. It's pretty crazy.
This is a Texas podcast, but I mean, Kansas and TCU playing for college game day, both teams 5-0. Texas has to play both of these teams.
Yeah.
And you got Baylor and you got Oklahoma State and you have Kansas State. Those are all the teams that you're looking ahead to. So
right, and they're all still undefeated in conference play, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So as of right now, what do you think about Texas in the future? Are you still holding to your prediction about I think you said 8-4 season?
I said 8-4, 9-3 maybe at the best. I think if Quinn Ewers is healthy and plays the rest of the season, sure, 9-3, doable. If it's not, I still think we'll drop a couple just because, that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
So
I think 8-4 is a great prediction.
Yeah.
2 games, and you have one game over half the season left.
Right.
After this game, you'll have half a season.
And I think it's going to be to either Oklahoma State or Kansas State. It'll be to one of them. I think the others are winnable.
TCU looks pretty damn good.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that was before I knew TCU was good and Kansas was good. Yeah. So, yeah, without yours, I would say we drop 2 more than that.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the Texas A&M matchup.
Yeah. What I really want to know, what realistic expectations, what would surprise you, and what kind of game plan could there be for this game if you're A&M?
I don't know. Last year was just the perfect storm.
I still can't believe last year happened. You go back, rewatch that game, you're like, man, and the stars lined up. Y'all were meant to win that. It was crazy.
Y'all can go check out the podcast episodes from that week. I was like, there ain't no way A&M wins this game. I was down so bad.
Right.
Arkansas just wrecked us. We lost that game by 10, but it felt like we lost by a lot more. And
right.
Then Mississippi State comes into your home field, and the game against Bama was at home, and we lost to Mississippi State at home the week before. And I'm like, well, if the crowd really didn't matter against Mississippi State, what the hell is it going to matter against Alabama? That there's 2 different teams, and we just got whooped at home by the inferior.
I do remember though that there was that video on Twitter of the line before the Bama game of people wanting to get tickets.
Oh yeah,
and how it was insane. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, there is no way I would ever wait in no line for this game. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And I was like, I had all these tweets ready to go, but I didn't send. I couldn't send a single one. I was like, shit, they're going to win this thing.
Give Aggie fan. I can never hate on the line outside Kyle Field because I've been in that line.
Yeah,
and I've been in that line after disappointing losses. And give students the credit, man.
Yes,
they show up after App State. After an App State loss, they were all
they
still were outside.
There. Yep.
Sunday, the day after that loss, they were all sitting outside waiting on Miami tickets. You got to give them the credit.
Right.
Great fans. Love the 12th man. Some of the best fans in college football. And I've been to Arkansas. I've been to LSU. Some of the best fans in college football, truly. Yeah, man, I really don't know what to expect for this game. Does Jimbo have the magic juju that just beats Saban? Maybe. I don't know. Has he been scheming, all year for this game? And he's just like, I got, this is where I'm going to unleash the playbook. This is where everything opens up.
Yeah.
And if he does, I'm going to be very pissed because I'm like, you should have opened it up way earlier.
Well, it is a good thing though that Bryce is injured, or is it not because of how good Jalen Milroe looked?
I think Jalen Milroe. I said this
He
about
looked
Jalen Milroe in
ridiculous.
high school. He is ridiculously good, man.
Yeah, we had him too, and I
Y'all
think
did.
I think he bailed after yours got here. But I was really upset that he left. I was like, dang it, I really wanted him.
No, he decommitted from Texas after Quentin Ewers
Yeah,
committed to Texas, and then Eli Stowers and him were both looking at A&M, and Stowers committed first, and Jimbo's not. I mean, Jimbo's come out and said it before. He's never going to cut a kid that commits to his school just because he wants another player, and he tried to convince Milroe to come with him, and Milroe was like, "No, I'm not going to, commit." To a
right.
school that already has another quarterback, and so he goes to Alabama, and man, he was so good in high school. And I remember watching I can't remember what show it was over this off season, but they showed a photo of Milroe
Yeah,
in the off season, and the kid just looks rocked up.
yeah,
And
he's ridiculous.
I'm sitting in there with my buddy. We're watching the A&M game, and I'm like, at one point, I'm like, to hell with this. I'm going to turn on Bama real quick. Just check this out. And Milroe's playing, and I'm like, Jeffrey, that dude's 19 years old and looks like a grown man.
Yeah,
And my buddy doesn't watch much college football. He's a big NFL buff. And they zoom into Milroe, and he's like, holy crap. He's like, when's this guy getting the draft? I want him on the Cowboys.
right.
And I'm like, yeah, like this. And then he takes off for a 70-yard rush. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
I saw a tweet that was like,
oh,
only Bama's backup would be like Michael Vick.
right.
Yeah,
And yeah, man. I mean, honestly, Milroe scares me more than Bryce Young does right now.
I know.
Bryce
Yeah, you watched him against us. He just looked
Yeah.
like a quarterback. Anyone? Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, Milroe scares me more than Bryce
Or,
Young.
yeah,
Not that I'm saying Bryce Young doesn't scare me, but Milroe scares me more.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I really don't know.
Okay.
Ain't it? Their offense looks like it's clicking. They put up points on a good Arkansas team. They destroyed Arkansas, and then they rubbed it in their face by Did you see what the post that they made on their social media today?
No,
It was
what
like
is that?
not all pigs fly, or pigs don't fly, and it was like all their defenders around KJ Jefferson laying on the ground, and I was like, damn, that kid was injured, and y'all are just putting him on your Twitter page. Like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, but that's why I'm like, I don't know if I want Connor Wegman in for a Bama game.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe let Haynes King go try his luck. If he wins, I'll
Yeah.
put his statue.
Right.
Put his statue next to Connor or Zach Calzada's.
Yeah.
They'll be side by side. I don't know what to. I mean, I expect to lose this game.
Yeah.
I hope it's not by a lot. Yeah, it's just I don't want it to be like painfully lost, like when Kyle Allen played Bama and it was like 55-0.
Yeah, that.
Like, I don't want that.
Right. I don't think it'll be 0. I think obviously you'll get. I honestly think you'll get a defensive score at least, because we almost got a pick 6 maybe, and then that safety. Like I think y'all's defense is better than ours. I think y'all can get some defensive points maybe. So
well, thanks, man. I
yeah.
appreciate.
So
your
it's not all on Haynes King.
So, yeah, I don't expect to win. So
Okay, that's fair.
Hey, but Jimbo's pulled off crazier stuff.
He has. I swear last year's matchup was worse than this year's.
Yeah. So good luck.
Could happen.
I'll be watching.
Right.
I'll be there. But yeah, that's about it for me. Really have nothing else to put on the plate.
Yep.
Jimbo's going to be looking for an offensive coordinator hopefully this offseason. Hopefully looking forward to seeing more of Connor Wegman. Good luck to Haynes King this weekend, probably.
He will need it, yes.
And I'm interested to see what happens to Max Johnson. That injury could be, he could be playing this weekend.
Right,
if Max Johnson's playing this weekend, I feel a lot better about our chances. But, if his injury is anything close to what Dak Prescott's is, it's looking like he's out for, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Yep. Cool.
Well, anything else to add?
Nope. Just Texas, do not make this a close game. That's all I ask. That is all I ask. Don't give me heart attacks. I have not yet once watched a OU game where I just sat back and like sipped beer and was like, ah, 'tis good to be winning. Never
Yeah.
ever.
I don't think Steve Sarkisian wants to put himself in the position where he's 3 losses into the season.
Right.
With an OU loss like this, it just wouldn't sit well
Yeah.
with anyone.
And I
Um,
think it would be a downward spiral the rest of the season. Probably lose half the games at least if we're lucky.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't expect either team to be sitting at. Like I said earlier, I expected both these teams to be sitting at 4-1 at this point. So if both end up at 3-3 or one ends up at 3-3, it's they're both behind schedule in my point
Right.
in my book. Especially now that OU looks so pedestrian, but A&M, I mean, 3 losses at this point, it's going to be rough. You're going to have to win out to meet the expectations that I thought I had of the
Right.
floor for the
Right.
ceiling. Obviously, they're already at my expectations with 2 losses, but I did not expect an App State loss. So you beat Bama.
Hey, App State's forgiven if you beat Bama.
App State is forgiven. Well, not completely forgiven,
Right.
but I still want more wins.
Right. But I feel you.
I don't want an 8-4 season. Probably going to end up getting it, and I'll probably be very critical of Jimbo at the end of the season if that happens. So stay tuned for that one. But that's it for me. Kyle,
Yep.
You got anything else?
That's it.
All right, everyone. Well, we appreciate y'all for listening. Glad to be back on YouTube. Sorry for last week's mess up. That was a whole different system, and we switched to a new one. So we'll see you again next week on the Lone Star Showdown podcast. Gig 'em.
Hook 'em.